You've been told, my dear, that attraction is a game, that you must perform, adjust, calculate, or even diminish yourself to be chosen. But what if I told you the opposite is true? Your true magnetism does not begin in how much you give. It begins in how deeply you remember who you are. Every woman carries within her a sacred pulse, a rhythm that was never meant to imitate anyone else's. It's the rhythm of the moon, of tides, of cycles that rise and fall and rise again. It is older than any dating advice, older than seduction itself. Yet somewhere between expectation and exhaustion, that rhythm has gone quiet. You began to believe that your worth is measured by your availability, that being chosen is proof of being enough. But the truth is far more luminous. You are not here to chase. You are here to become. There is a moment, always, in the life of every woman, a turning point, when she looks around and feels that the world has somehow grown quieter, that the glances don't last as long, that conversations skim the surface, that connection feels distant. She asks herself, have I lost something? My spark? My allure? And the voice inside whispers, no, you have not lost it. You have only hidden it under everything you thought you had to be. This is where our journey begins. Because the most irresistible attraction a woman can awaken is not the kind that makes someone chase her for a weekend. It is the kind that draws a soul back to her again and again, not through performance, but through presence. So today, I want to open a door that few dare to push open, a door that leads not to tricks, but to truth, to the magnetic field that exists when a woman reclaims her authenticity. You see, attraction is not chemistry alone. It is energy, meeting energy. And the most powerful energy is coherence, when who you are inside and who you show outside finally become one. Men and the world feel this coherence instantly. It's the invisible frequency that makes people turn their heads, not because of what you wear, but because something inside you hums with clarity. For 20 years, as a therapist, I've watched this miracle unfold in countless women. The moment they stop apologizing for their emotions, their laughter, their silence, their contradictions, something changes. They no longer enter a room wondering, will I be enough? They enter radiating, this is who I am. And that, my dear, is the beginning of irresistible attraction. It does not matter if you're 25 or 55, if you have stretch marks that map your life, if your hair carries threads of silver, if your heart has been bruised by years of loving deeply. You are not behind, you are becoming. Every line on your face is a verse of a poem called Experience. Every scar, a chapter of courage. And there is nothing, absolutely nothing more magnetic than a woman who wears her story without shame. Because when a woman stops hiding, she starts glowing. And that glow does not come from perfection, it comes from authenticity. You see, the feminine energy, the true feminine energy, is not submission. It is surrender, but to your own nature. It's the courage to be soft in a world that rewards hardness, to feel deeply when everyone else runs from feeling, to be tender without losing strength. That is not weakness, that is mastery. And yet so many women forget. They silence their laughter, control their tears, hide their joy. They give too much, wait too long, and end up invisible in their own lives. But you are here because something in you refuses to stay invisible. Something ancient and wild wants to wake up again. So let me make you a promise. If you walk with me through this journey, If you listen with your heart, not just your mind, you will remember the magnetic woman that life tried to make you forget. Because this is not a guide to make anyone chase you. It's a map to help you chase yourself, to rediscover the woman who once looked at the world with unguarded wonder. And when you do, the world will chase your frequency. There are 3 movements, 3 steps that awaken this energy. But before I show them to you, I must tell you something no one dares to say out loud. Men don't fall for women who try to be everything. They fall for women who are something, fully, unapologetically. Think of the women who draw attention without trying. They aren't louder, prettier, or younger. They simply exist differently. They are not desperate to be seen because they are already in touch with their own visibility. They radiate a quiet certainty as if they've made peace with every version of themselves. That certainty is not arrogance, it is emotional gravity. And gravity does not chase, it pulls. When you live aligned with your truth, you become a field of attraction. You no longer shout for attention. Attention arrives naturally. So let me ask you gently, when was the last time you felt magnetic? Not beautiful, not perfect, magnetic. When your presence alone changed the air around you. When your laughter made people turn, not because of volume, but because of its freedom. That feeling is not gone. It is only sleeping. And the purpose of this journey is to wake it up. You will not need to learn lines or play games. You will only need to remember your rhythm, the one that moves between power and vulnerability, between mystery and warmth. The feminine energy is not one note. It's a symphony. Sometimes it roars like the ocean. Sometimes it whispers like the wind through leaves. And the more you allow each note to be heard, the more alive you become. In this first movement, this awakening, I want you to look not at how to attract others, but at how to return to your own pulse. Because attraction without authenticity is performance. But attraction with authenticity is power. There's an old truth from Jungian psychology. Whatever you repress becomes your shadow, and whatever you integrate becomes your magnet. If you hide your sensuality, it hides from you. If you shame your softness, you will attract hardness. But when you embrace your contradictions, when you dare to stand in the full light of who you are, you become uncontainable. Because the woman who no longer fights herself cannot be resisted. So breathe slowly. Feel where in your body you've been holding tension, trying to be good enough, calm enough, desired enough. Now exhale. Release the mask. Your power begins where your pretending ends. And this, my dear, is the beginning of everything. In the next chapter of our journey, we will descend deeper into the emotional and symbolic terrain of desire. We'll explore the psychology of unpredictability, how mystery, presence, and emotional rhythm awaken the male brain. Because attraction, at its core, is not about effort. It is energy flow. And when you understand that flow, you'll no longer chase love. You'll become its source. So stay with me. Take a sip of water. Take a breath. Because what comes next will change the way you see yourself and the way the world sees you.
Desire is not born in noise. It is born in space. The same space that makes a melody possible. The pause between 2 notes. The silence between 2 breaths. When you understand this, you stop chasing love and begin conducting it, like an orchestra that only plays when you lift your hand. Every man, whether he admits it or not, is drawn to this rhythm. to the woman who carries both fire and restraint, who is open yet untouchable, present yet unpredictable. He cannot name why, but he feels it. Because in a world that moves too fast, a woman who breathes in her own tempo becomes irresistible. Let's step into this secret language, the dance of feminine and masculine energy. He is movement, direction, the spark of action. You are depth, presence, the ocean that holds the tide. When these two forces meet, something ancient awakens. It is not manipulation, it is magnetism, the pure physics of polarity. The feminine attracts not by control, but by contrast. She is not the fire that chases, she is the flame that invites. And yet many women have forgotten the art of the invitation. They have replaced mystery with management, presence with performance, curiosity with strategy. But attraction is not a formula. It's a field that expands only when you stop trying to fill every silence and instead allow it to breathe. Science can explain part of it. The male brain releases dopamine when faced with uncertainty, when there's something to figure out, something slightly beyond reach. It's the same chemical that fuels ambition, curiosity, and pursuit. But what truly ignites that dopamine spark is not artificial mystery, it's authentic unpredictability, the kind that arises when you're fully alive, when your moods are natural, when your interests bloom in their own rhythm. You become the unknown he wants to explore, not because you're playing hard to get, but because your world is genuinely bigger than his. I once guided a woman named Isabel. She was 52, a painter who had forgotten her colors. Her life revolved around the man who barely looked up from his phone. She loved deeply, but had become predictable. Her affection always on time, her words always kind, her plans always revolving around his. So I asked her one question: when was the last time you surprised yourself? She couldn't remember, and that was her starting point. In the weeks that followed, she didn't try to provoke or manipulate. She simply re-entered her own orbit. She painted again. She took long walks without her phone. She canceled plans to rest when her body asked for silence. She showed up radiant, then disappeared into her projects without apology. And something miraculous happened. The man who had ignored her for months began to call, then to ask, then to pursue, because the energy had changed. He no longer sensed a woman waiting. He sensed a woman living. That, my dear, is the essence of feminine magnetism. You attract not by asking for attention, but by embodying a life that glows on its own. The unpredictable woman is not reckless. She is alive. She is guided by curiosity, not by fear of losing someone's approval. And when a man meets her energy, his instincts awaken, not because she plays games, but because she reminds him of aliveness itself. Let's talk about mystery. Mystery is not absence. Mystery is depth. It's the way you say less but mean more, the way your eyes linger before you answer, the way you reveal yourself layer by layer, not all at once, not to everyone. You are not a transparent window. You are stained glass. Light passes through you, but only those who stand close enough see the colors truly dance. Mystery does not mean withholding your truth, it means valuing it enough to reveal it slowly. Each glimpse a gift, not an obligation. You create rhythm, the ebb and flow of emotion, curiosity, silence, presence. It's this rhythm that keeps his mind engaged, his heart leaning forward, his attention anchored in the present moment with you. Because the feminine doesn't chase certainty, she creates atmosphere. Imagine a candlelit room, soft music, faint scent of jasmine. You don't need to speak to make it beautiful. The air itself does the work. That's how your presence should feel, a space that welcomes, not demands, a mystery that invites, not tests. Men, consciously or not, respond to how they feel in your presence, not to your appearance, not to your logic, but to the emotional weather you create. Are you the calm after the storm, or the storm that awakens his pulse? Are you the silence he seeks, or the music he didn't know he needed? The answer is not fixed. You can be both. And that's the beauty of feminine energy. It is never one thing. You can laugh freely today and be still tomorrow. You can be sweet and serious, playful and profound. You can be a sanctuary and a spark. And in that diversity lies the secret to lasting fascination. Because nothing kills attraction faster than predictability. Predictability numbs, unpredictability awakens. And the only sustainable unpredictability is authenticity in motion. Jung once said, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are." In the realm of attraction, that statement becomes literal. Every mask you drop releases new energy. Every truth you own makes your light brighter. Every time you choose to stay real instead of impressive, you increase your gravitational field. Because there is nothing rarer in this world than a woman who is comfortable with her own mystery. Now let's talk about presence. Presence is power. It's the subtle force that makes others feel seen and grounded. When you are fully present, your energy expands. You don't have to speak much, your silence already speaks. Men are often starving for this kind of presence. A woman who listens without judgment, who looks at them and actually sees them. Not to fix, not to teach, not to compete, just to witness. That witnessing is an aphrodisiac because it reflects what every human craves, to be recognized in their essence. But here's the paradox. You can't offer true presence if you've abandoned your own. Presence starts within. It means being aware of your breath when you speak, feeling your own heartbeat before you rush to fill silence. Answering from truth, not from fear of losing him. The woman who is anchored in her own presence creates a field of safety around her, and within that field others relax, open, and connect. That is why feminine presence is irresistible, because it awakens a man's most tender instinct, the desire to protect what feels sacred. But remember this, presence is not passivity. It's power without aggression, clarity without control. A lighthouse does not chase ships. It stands in its place, radiant, and lets the ships find their way. When you embody presence, you become that lighthouse. You stop running after love and start allowing love to arrive. So today, I want to invite you to practice something. It's simple, but it will change everything. Next time you speak to a man you care about, pause. Listen to the space between his words. Feel your own breath. Let your gaze soften. Answer from your truth, not from the fear of losing him. You'll notice how the atmosphere changes. Because presence alters chemistry. Your calm becomes contagious. Your authenticity becomes attractive. Your stillness becomes magnetic. In this dance of energy, you are both the music and the dancer. You lead not by motion, but by emotion. You guide not by force, but by frequency. And every time you move from truth, every time you breathe before you react, you deepen the rhythm between you and him.
It's not about tricks. It's about timing, the art of giving space, the courage to hold silence, the beauty of letting him reach instead of always reaching. When you master that rhythm, his curiosity never fades. His heart feels safe. His desire feels alive. Because the feminine energy, when embodied fully, is the most captivating paradox in existence. Soft, yet unyielding. Open, yet sovereign. Vulnerable, yet powerful beyond measure. And so, my dear, as you stand here at the end of this block, I want you to remember something simple, but eternal. You are not meant to be understood completely. You are meant to be discovered endlessly. That is the essence of mystery. That is the dance of attraction. And that is what keeps love alive. In the next chapter, we'll explore what happens when this dance is forgotten.
the consequences and emotional patterns that dim your light, and how to break free from them for good. Because awareness alone is not enough. We must also face the shadow, the habits, fears, and wounds that quietly sabotage your magnetism. Only by illuminating them can you reclaim the full radiance that has always been yours. So breathe again, straighten your shoulders, smile gently. The woman you are becoming is already on her way.
Every story of attraction begins with wonder, and yet so many end with exhaustion. Not because love disappeared, but because somewhere along the way, you disappeared. You stopped hearing your own voice. You became an echo, answering messages, fulfilling needs, being available for everyone except yourself. It happens quietly, almost imperceptibly. You start by wanting to care, to be kind, to be chosen. But step by step, your rhythm adapts to his. Your glow dims to match the room, and one morning you wake up feeling invisible in a story you once called love. This, my dear, is the silent epidemic of the modern woman, confusing availability with value and losing herself in the process. We have been taught that love equals self-sacrifice, that devotion means disappearance, that if we give enough, someone will finally stay. But the universe does not reward self-erasure, it only amplifies it. The more you abandon yourself, the further others drift, not because they are cruel, but because energy cannot be drawn to what is no longer there. Let's speak honestly. You may have met men who took your softness as weakness, who mistook your patience for permission, who enjoyed your presence but never earned your depth. And in trying to hold them, you held less and less of yourself. You stopped dancing in your own rhythm and started waiting for cues that never came. But here is the truth no one dares to say. When you bend too much to keep love alive, you are not loving, you are leaving yourself. And no relationship built on self-abandonment can thrive. I have seen women radiant and wise shrink themselves into silence just to keep peace. They stop laughing too loudly, stop dreaming too boldly, stop saying no. They became caretakers of someone else's comfort instead of guardians of their own soul. And they called it love. But love without self-respect is dependency dressed as devotion. And the price is always the same, your inner fire. You may recognize yourself in these patterns. You feel anxious when he withdraws, so you give more. You fear being misunderstood, so you explain yourself endlessly. You feel him pulling away, so you make yourself smaller, gentler, quieter, hoping he'll stay. But he doesn't. Because energetically, you are no longer standing tall. Your field collapses when your boundaries do. Attraction fades not because you're less beautiful, but because you stopped radiating sovereignty. Let's name this pattern clearly. It's the cycle of emotional overinvestment, the loop where giving replaces being. You sense distance, you close the gap. You sense silence, you fill it with words. You sense indifference, you perform warmth. And every time you do, you train his brain to expect your effort as his right. Soon, he doesn't reach out because he doesn't need to. You are already there. This is not your fault. It's conditioning, inherited through generations of women taught to nurture everyone but themselves. But today, that pattern ends. Because when you pour endlessly into someone who never fills you back, you are not being loving, you are being drained. You cannot be magnetic when you are exhausted. You cannot glow when your energy leaks through overgiving. And so the first step in healing this cycle is to forgive yourself for every moment you loved beyond your limits. Forgive yourself for confusing effort with worth. Forgive yourself for believing that to be loved, you had to earn it through sacrifice. You were only trying to survive in a world that told you your softness must always serve someone else. But now you know better. When you start reclaiming your energy, something remarkable happens. Your field reorganizes. You stop chasing alignment and start creating it. You stop begging to be seen and start shining on your own terms. And that, paradoxically, is when the right people begin to notice you again. Because the universe does not respond to pleading, it responds to frequency. When you are full of your own essence, you broadcast stability. When you are desperate, you broadcast lack. Energy speaks louder than words. That is why silence can attract more than speech, and stillness can draw more than chasing. The feminine attracts through resonance, not pursuit, through wholeness, not hunger. But here's the deeper truth. Every pattern of overgiving hides a shadow. Fear. The fear of being alone. The fear of not being enough. The fear of being too much. And until you meet that fear with compassion, it will keep running your relationships. So I invite you to ask yourself gently, what am I afraid would happen if I stopped overextending myself for love? Would someone leave? Would silence grow heavier? Would you finally have to face your own reflection? Those are sacred fears, not to be suppressed, but held. Because on the other side of fear lives freedom. You are not too much. You are too contained. You are not too emotional. You are deeply alive. You are not hard to love. You've just been loving from depletion instead of overflow. There is a difference. When you love from lack, you attach. When you love from fullness, you expand. When you love from fear, you try to control. When you love from authenticity, you trust the flow. And that is the pivot point we are approaching, where need transforms into nourishment. Jung would call this meeting with your shadow the beginning of individuation, the sacred process of becoming whole. Because wholeness isn't perfection. It's the marriage of all your fragments, the nurturer and the wild one, the calm and the chaotic, the lover and the one who demands space. When you integrate them, you become magnetic again. Not because you're flawless, but because you're real. Realness is irresistible. So how do you break these patterns in practice? It begins with pauses, conscious pauses. When you feel the urge to fix, to text, to explain, pause. Ask yourself, am I acting from love or from fear? When you feel the need to prove your worth, pause. Remind yourself, I am already worthy. When he feels withdrawing, resist the old impulse to chase. Hold your center. Breathe. Every time you do, you are rewiring your nervous system and teaching your energy to hold its own ground. That is feminine discipline, grace with backbone. And slowly, something beautiful happens. You stop attracting emotional escape artists because your own energy no longer signals dependency. You start magnetizing emotionally available men because your frequency now speaks of self-respect and depth. You become a mirror that reflects truth, not a magnet that absorbs pain. And this reflection transforms everything. Because when you rise in authenticity, men respond differently. They approach with reverence, they listen longer, they stay curious. Not because you've learned a technique, but because your energy says, I know who I am. That sentence, I know who I am, is the foundation of irresistible attraction. It commands respect without demanding it. It invites love without chasing it. It is the vibration of sovereignty, and sovereignty is the purest form of seduction. When you reach this point, you no longer ask, how can I make him love me? Instead, you ask, does my soul expand in his presence? And if the answer is no, you walk away not with bitterness, but with grace, because you no longer trade your light for temporary warmth. My dear, you are not here to prove your worth. You are here to embody it. And when you do, every pattern that once dimmed you starts to crumble. You stop apologizing for your fire, you stop negotiating your truth, you stop settling for almosts and maybes. You rise. And that rise is the beginning of true attraction, the kind that does not fade when the chase ends, because it was never built on illusion. It was built on frequency. In the next movement of our journey, we will step into the turning point, the moment of awakening and reclamation. You will learn how to transform these patterns into power, presence, and peace. Because awareness is only the dawn, action is the sunrise. And from this point forward, you are no longer learning how to be desired. You are remembering how to be divine. So take a deep breath. You have faced the shadow. Now, prepare to meet your light.
Every journey has a heartbeat. And this, my dear, is the moment yours begins to beat differently. Because awareness alone is not enough. You can understand your patterns, name your pain, study desire, but until you act from a new frequency, life keeps echoing the same lesson. So today, we don't just speak of transformation, we live it. This is the moment you rise from knowing to being. To reclaim your radiance, you must first understand what radiance truly is. Radiance is not charm. It is not flirtation. It is not the light that begs to be seen. Radiance is the quiet glow of a woman at peace with herself. It's the warmth that comes when your mind and body stop arguing, when your words match your soul, when your boundaries protect you instead of cage you. It's the kind of light that does not shout, yet no one can ignore. And here is the secret. You cannot fake radiance. You can only remember it, because it has always been there, beneath the exhaustion, beneath the masks, beneath the need to prove anything to anyone. You were born radiant. Life just covered it with noise. Now you begin to listen again. The first act of reclamation is stillness, not the passive kind, but sacred stillness, the kind that allows your energy to realign. Take a deep breath. Inhale through the heart, exhale through the spine. You are coming back into yourself. Because to reclaim your radiance, you must reclaim your rhythm. Every woman has her natural rhythm, her unique tempo of giving and receiving, of work and rest, of laughter and silence. When you honor that rhythm, you move in harmony with the pulse of life itself. When you ignore it, you move in resistance. And resistance drains attraction. So start small. Ask yourself each morning, what do I need today? Expansion or rest? And then honor the answer. That one act of listening to your own truth rekindles your magnetic field more than any external effort. Now, let's speak about power. True feminine power does not compete with the masculine. It complements it. It flows. It invites. It is not dominance. It is direction. The knowing of when to open and when to close. When to speak and when silence will speak louder. Power is grace with boundaries. And boundaries are not walls. They are rhythm. They tell others where the music of your energy begins and ends. You can say, no, not today. You can say, yes, but on my terms. You can say, I love you, but I will not abandon myself to keep you comfortable. Each time you do, you expand your magnetic field, because nothing attracts more than a woman who protects her own energy with love, not with fear. This is the turning point, where you stop choosing between love and self-respect and realize they are the same. There is no real intimacy without authenticity, no real desire without boundaries, no real attraction without self-trust. When you trust yourself, your entire energy changes. You walk differently. You speak with pauses that command attention. You look people in the eye without needing approval. Because trust radiates certainty, and certainty
is magnetic. Men feel it instantly, not as challenge, but as clarity. It tells them, I know my worth and I won't trade it for temporary affection. That energy is both alluring and sacred. Now, I want you to visualize something. Imagine you're walking through a crowded room. You're not trying to stand out. You're simply present. Your eyes meet someone's for a moment, and something happens. Not because you tried, but because your presence speaks louder than any words could say. You carry within you the silent statement, I am here. I am whole. I am enough. That vibration is the frequency of authenticity. And authenticity is the new seduction. Because when you are authentic, you no longer rely on tactics. You become the tactic. The world reorganizes around your truth. Conversations deepen. Connections magnetize. Even silence becomes charged with meaning. And you realize it was never about learning how to make someone stay. It was about learning how to make yourself stay present. Every time you show up as your full self, you invite others to do the same. That is the ripple effect of authenticity. It heals not just you, but everyone who stands in your light. And yes, there will be people who cannot handle that light. They will fall away. Let them, because the woman you are becoming cannot fit into the smallness that once kept her safe. You are not losing people. You are gaining yourself. You are not becoming intimidating. You are becoming clear. And clarity, my dear, is the purest form of beauty. Now, let's talk about joy, because joy is the language of the feminine. The moment you rediscover what truly brings you joy, your magnetism doubles. Dance again. Laugh again. Let yourself be playful, curious, spontaneous. The radiant woman doesn't chase happiness. She creates it. She knows that joy is her birthright, not a prize. When you move in joy, your energy becomes irresistible, not because it's perfect, but because it's alive. Think of it this way. When you are joyful, you become the embodiment of freedom, and freedom is what everyone secretly desires. Men are drawn to that frequency not out of need, but out of awe, because your joy whispers, I don't need you to complete me. But if you wish, you may join me in my fullness. That is divine invitation, not dependence. So now, you stand at the threshold of the new you. Behind you lies the version who dimmed her light to be loved. Before you lies the woman who shines and lets love rise to meet her. All you must do is choose. Choose your truth even when it trembles. Choose your joy even when it's misunderstood. Choose your boundaries even when they disappoint others. Every choice for yourself is a prayer to the universe, a signal that says, I am ready for love that matches my frequency. And the universe, my dear, always listens. So tonight, when you close your eyes, don't ask, when will he call? Ask, how can I call myself home? Because when you return home to yourself, everything else, love, attention, passion, returns naturally. You become magnetic again, not by effort, but by essence. Remember, radiance is contagious. It lights up rooms, hearts, and entire lives. But it starts in silence, in that one small moment when you choose yourself. So take this moment now. Place a hand over your heart. Feel it beating, not for anyone else, but for you. This is your rhythm, your power, your return. And as you step into the next and final chapter of this journey, you will learn how to integrate it all, how to live, love, and lead from this magnetic energy every single day. Because awakening is only the beginning. Living awake, that is the masterpiece.
There is a silence that follows transformation. It's not emptiness, it's peace. The kind of peace that arrives when the storm has done its work
and you finally stand barefoot on new ground, your heart clear, your spirit steady. This is where you are now. You have walked through illusion, through shadow, through awakening. You have shed layers of trying, pleasing, proving. And what remains is something unshakable, your essence. That essence is your home frequency. It is the signature your soul leaves on everything you touch. It's the warmth behind your laughter, the gravity behind your gaze, the calm that no chaos can steal. And this essence, not your beauty, not your youth, not your perfection, is what makes you irresistibly attractive. Because real attraction is not about being desired, it's about being felt. You can meet 1,000 people, but only the ones who feel your essence will recognize you as home. That's what authenticity does. It filters the false and attracts the true. You no longer need to chase connection. You simply allow resonance. The ones meant for you will find you in the vibration of your truth. So how do you live from this frequency? How do you stay magnetic even when life gets messy? It begins with devotion, not to others, but to yourself. A devotion to honoring what you feel, to moving at your natural pace, to refusing to shrink back into the habits of overgiving. Magnetism is maintained through integrity, the alignment between what you think, what you feel, and what you do. Every time you act in alignment, you strengthen your field. Every time you betray your truth, you dim your light a little more. So from now on, make your truth your compass. If your heart says rest, rest. If your spirit says go, go. If your intuition says this isn't right, listen. Your inner voice is the most accurate GPS for your feminine energy. The more you trust it, the stronger your magnetism grows, because the universe bends toward authenticity and repels everything that is false. Now, let's speak of love. Love is not meant to be chased. Love is meant to be met. And the only way to meet love is to meet yourself first. When you are anchored in your own essence, you stop seeking completion in another. You meet from wholeness, not from hunger. Two complete energies don't devour each other. They dance. That is divine partnership. Not dependency, but resonance. Not need, but reflection. You are no longer here to be someone's emotional nurse, their project, or their prize. You are here to be a mirror, reflecting what love looks like when it is conscious. You are here to inspire, not to chase. To attract, not to demand. To embody, not to beg. Because your energy no longer whispers, "Choose me." It declares, "I have chosen myself." And that declaration changes everything. The world around you will shift. Some will be drawn closer, others will fall away. That is how frequency works. It sorts what resonates. But do not fear the falling away. It is grace in motion. It is space being made for what truly belongs. You may notice men respond differently to you now. Some will feel unsettled by your calm. Some will test your boundaries to see if they are real. And a few, the ones aligned with your energy, will rise to meet you. These men are not intimidated by your light. They are inspired by it. Because the energy you now carry invites elevation, not rescue. You are no longer the student of love. You are its teacher. And teaching doesn't always mean speaking. Sometimes it means living so truthfully that your very presence becomes a lesson. When you walk into a room with authenticity in your step, when your laughter carries both strength and softness, when your no is as graceful as your yes, You remind others of what freedom feels like. That is leadership in its most feminine form. You are not leading through authority. You are leading through example. Now, here is something sacred to remember. Your magnetism is not a fixed state. It is a current. Some days it will flow fiercely, some days softly, and some days you will need to pause, retreat, recharge. That does not mean you've lost it. It means you are honoring its rhythm. Even the moon hides to renew her light. So may you. The true feminine does not fear cycles. She lives them consciously. She understands that everything, desire, creativity, love, moves in waves. When you learn to surf those waves instead of fight them, you become unstoppable. Your magnetism becomes sustainable, your peace unshakable. And one day, without trying, you'll notice how differently you move through life. You'll notice how men listen when you speak, how opportunities seem to find you, how synchronicities align around you, because your outer world is now mirroring your inner coherence. This is not luck. This is alignment. And alignment is the most powerful form of attraction there is. So, let's end with a ritual, a promise to yourself. Close your eyes for a moment. Place your hand over your heart. Whisper these words softly, not as a wish, but as a declaration. I am no longer chasing love. I am becoming it. I am no longer dimming my light. I am radiating it. I am no longer trying to be chosen. I am choosing myself again and again. Breathe that truth in. Let it fill every cell of your being. This is your new beginning. From now on, every step you take is a conversation with the universe. Every boundary, an affirmation. Every act of joy, a magnet. Every moment of stillness, a declaration of worth. And those who meet you will feel it, not as seduction, but as serenity. Because authentic feminine energy doesn't shout for attention. It simply shines. And everything aligned with that light finds its way home. So go, my dear. Live magnetically. Love authentically. Let your presence be a prayer, your laughter a revolution, your truth a lighthouse. You no longer need to wonder if you are enough. You are the standard now. You are the answer to the very question you have been asking. And the world, whether it knows it or not, has been waiting for this version of you. If this message has awakened something in you, if it reminded you of your beauty, your power, your calm, then don't let it fade. Take this energy forward, share it, live it, and if it moved you, click subscribe so we can walk this journey together. One truth, one breath, one light at a time. Because you, my dear, are no longer looking for magic. You are the magic.